For some, utilitarian three-row crossovers don't quite cut it. An additional dollop of panache is required. Buick hopes discerning families will check out the second-generation Enclave. Yes, second generation. Hard to believe General Motors is only now replacing the model that launched in 2007. A spotter's guide, there's the brand's updated winged grille, a trendy floating roof treatment, and this unique Ventaport design. Now, come on, it's a Buick. There's going to be Ventaports.
Enclave is longer now by about 2 inches, and yet engineers have managed to carve over 300 pounds out of it. It's like permanently leaving a couple of your family members behind. Not that I'm recommending that.
The outgoing Enclave design was an elegant draw. My compliments to the stylists for the follow-up. It seems to slot in between premium marques like Acura MDX, Audi Q7, Infiniti QX60, Volvo XC90, and soon the Lexus RXL, or top trim-level versions of mainstream brands like Chevy Traverse and Honda Pilot. This is an all-wheel drive premium model, optioned to just over $56,000. All Enclaves move with a 3.6-liter V6 with 310 horsepower, 266 pound-feet of torque, and a muted engine note. 3 more gears mean 9 speeds now, though I'm not a fan of electronic selectors like this. Switching between front and all-wheel drive is good for saving a little fuel.
Losing hundreds of pounds is great for so many things, especially acceleration. Not that I'm doing 0 to 60 runs in neighborhoods, but I can tell you that Enclave does it in about 6.5 to 7 seconds.
It might be the size of a small bus, but from behind the wheel, it feels a size smaller than it is when cruising through its natural habitat. Enclave's turning circle is nearly 1.5 feet tighter now, so it conquers cul-de-sacs and mall parking lots.
The 9-speed transmission is very smooth. You probably won't notice it doing its job.
There is a new premium fancy pants model called Avenir with available adaptive suspension. Not sure it's needed. Body movements are well controlled for such a comfortable ride. It can tow up to 5,000 pounds.
This would be a great road trip machine. It's very quiet. There's acoustical glass here and here, loads of sound insulation, plus active noise cancellation.
Starting with this premium model, Enclave's all-wheel drive system uses a dual-clutch rear differential, sending torque left and right to improve cornering.
Fuel-saving automatic engine start-stop systems are becoming very popular, and Enclave has this technology. General Motors does an especially good job with these systems. Take your foot off the brake, and it very quickly and smoothly restarts. The only problem is it's very difficult to defeat the system. Control freaks will not like this.
FYI, putting the transmission into manual mode keeps the engine from switching off. I saw 20 miles per gallon average, which hits the EPA combined number. I beat the highway estimate by a couple mpgs, and standard grade fuel is specified. Enclave is strictly a 7-passenger transport. There's a calming vibe in here, a nice space for stressed parents. Glad that this isn't even trying to be wood. The materials are quite nice, until you look down below where it's more Chevy than Buick. This being a premium rig, I'll grouse that the sunshades aren't motorized. Between the supportive heated and vented seats is an airbag that keeps people from banging heads in a side impact. GM's trick rear-view mirror, that is also a widescreen video monitor, is very useful for eliminating blind spots. My eye feels that the graphics lack upscale sophistication, but the user interface operation, with just the right amount of hard buttons and knobs, is about as good as it gets for simplicity while driving. GM is very thorough about putting Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in its cars. The first Enclave was roomy. It's now about 10% larger inside, so only 90 percentile NFL players will feel cramped back here, and even then I'm not sure. Everything a family needs to get comfortable, charged up, and organized is here, except for side sunshades.
Even with a child seat installed here, it's easy to move this out of the way for access to the third row. Unfortunately, this feature is only available on the passenger side.
Buick says that's done to encourage people to load on the curb side of the street.
Using me as a measurement metric, I'm 5'9" and I'm okay back here. The seats are low, so my knees are on the high side. This is a 7-passenger vehicle with belts for 3 back here. If you plan on carrying adults, I would stop at 6.
There's power, plus a place for drinks and snackage. How civilized.
Now, because the Enclave has selectable all-wheel drive, I can show you some vehicle dynamics. Here's what it's like taking off on a damp street with front-wheel drive.
Yup, even with the traction control, grip isn't optimal. Now I'll engage the all-wheel drive system to show you the difference.
As you can see, it's a lot more sure-footed, which gives you an edge at an uncontrolled intersection where you need to get across really quickly. So all-wheel drive isn't just for snow or off-roading. It's good for everyday driving, though tires are very important.
Now, when it comes to active electronic safety tech, things change depending on trim level. Go over the equipment list very carefully. This premium model comes standard with lane keep assist and forward collision alert. Adaptive cruise control and auto emergency braking is only available on the High-Zoot Avenir model, and it's a $2,100 option package. Playing armchair marketing guy here, what if Buick took the Volvo route and made this safety tech standard across the board? FYI, this surround view camera system is an option.
Now, I know it's not exactly hard labor, but I loathe testing 3-row crossovers, having to bring all of this TP out. I guess I'm just inherently lazy.
With row number 3 in use, there's still solid space in the back. It might look like just 5 packs fit, but wait for it. Yeah, it's really 6. Nice little cubby there. Power seats are nice, and it's not just for slackers like me. Because the cargo hold is so deep, it can be awkward to raise them without brushing up against a dirty bumper, especially for smaller people. My petite wife appreciates stuff like this. The Volkswagen Atlas, with its square shape, is the class leader at 20 bundles. Encore's swoopy silhouette keeps the count to 19. Remember, there's still one under the floor. So, Enclave does a commendable job of delivering the brood quietly and comfortably, hauls enough IKEA furniture to furnish a modest home, and is as sleek as a crossover can ever hope to be. A base white front-wheel drive model retails for $41,000. A loaded all-wheel drive Avenir model bumps up against $60,000, which buys a well-equipped Q7, QX60, and probably Lexus RXL when it finally arrives. If you're smitten by Enclave's fluid lines and expansive cabin, it's worth checking on what the real price is at a Buick dealership, and let's hope it doesn't take another 10 years for the 3rd generation to show up. Notice I said white when I talked about the price of the base version. That's because it's the only paint that doesn't cost extra. Silver and ebony metallic, the only 2 other color choices on the 1 SV, are $395. And I've found that General Motors tends to set retail prices high, so there's a lot of wiggle room for dealers to, well, deal. My dad found that out recently. He just took delivery of a GMC Canyon.
In addition to this and the Traverse, General Motors also makes a 3rd 3-row crossover, the GMC Acadia. But unlike the 1st generation, it is definitely shorter now than the Chevy and Buick versions. So if you want a 3-row crossover that's more manageable in size, or you simply can't get the Traverse or Enclave into your garage, check out the GMC. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.